Uninterrupted Writings and Interrupted Media presents LSU Odyssey Oddcast Profiles with your host, Lon Phillips Sullivan. What is up? It is Lon Phillips Sullivan. I am an it. That is correct. I'm a wild beast. And you know who else is a wild beast? I think this guy's going to be a wild beast in 2021. You know who it is? You know who I'm thinking of? Take a guess. Just take a guess. First name that comes to your head. Who do you think I'm going to be talking about in this profile today? Who will it be? Okay, we're going to be talking about Trey Palmer in today's video. Okay? Trey Palmer, you know, he's had a really good fall camp. At first, he was one of the people everyone said Mickey Joseph's getting on him. Mickey Joseph gets on everybody. But yes, he was spending a lot of time getting on Trey Palmer's back. And for good reason. He wants the best out of Trey Palmer. Now, ever since that time, all I've heard is that Trey just is making one leap and one bound after another. I mean, this cat is making big strides up the LSU wide receiving depth chart. Okay, he's at least passed 3 names this offseason. You know, he's been a freshman since 2019. He's got 2 return touchdowns, a kickoff, and a punt. He's shown brilliant abilities once he's got that ball in his hands. Once he has that ball in his hands, he is one of the most dynamic players LSU have on this roster. And I know we've got a ton of different dynamic players and pieces on this team. That is no surprise unless you're the mainstream college football media. Then, you know, you just think suddenly LSU went back to the Les Miles days. But no, we are full with an absolute litany of targets and great players at the receiving position. Not only, you know, guys who are extremely fast, extremely shifty, great with yards after the catch, but guys who are physical, guys who are competitive. And that is what Trey Palmer was missing. Trey Palmer was missing that little bit of dog to his game. Okay? And we put it in our piece when we wrote about the veteran receivers. And if the veteran receivers will keep their spots and hold off the freshman 5. And we also did the piece on the freshman 5 and how they're surging up the depth chart as well. So we've kind of shown all sides of this receiver base. But to me, Trey Palmer is so interesting within this group because, I mean, even if he doesn't go, you know, even if he's not explosive as a receiver, he's still going to offer you something in that return game. He's still going to be a plus value player. But if he can be a great receiver, let me take that back. If he can be even a solid receiver, if he can be like a 4-catch-a-game guy, 4 catches, 60 yards, that's fine by me because I really have a feeling that Trey Palmer, if he makes at least 4 or 5 catches a game, He could take, 4 to 5 passes to the house, screen passes, 60, 70 yards. I'm not joking around. This dude knows how to make people miss. He knows how to bend people out of his eyesight, bend them out of his orbit. He knows how to absolutely shift through people. I love the way he runs the football. The way he runs the football with spectacular vision, precise, absolute snaking, just jukery. I mean, you gotta love what Trey Palmer does when he's got the football in his hands. I mean, because that broke a streak that went back to the 80s where LSU, had no... We didn't have a kickoff return at Tiger Stadium since 1981. That's a joke. He ended that streak, and proudly. At Northwestern State, he ran back that punt in the 2019 season. Or was it against Utah State? Can't remember. But either way, Trey Palmer, I feel, could be that dynamic dude. If we don't see the best from John Trey Kirkland, if we don't see the best from Chris Hilton, the freshman, we don't see the best from maybe Brian Thomas Jr., guys of that similar profile of catch and burn type of guys. Well, I mean, you can put Brian Thomas in a lot of different things, but for me, Brian Thomas's yards after catch and speed are just very, very underrated. But in those groups, those tiers of players, Dre Jenkins, Brian Thomas Jr., we'll put them in the aerial landmarks. You got burners like Trey Palmer, John Trey Kirkland. If all those other guys, John Trey Kirkland, if he doesn't fail to pop, if Chris Hilton doesn't, it's too early for Chris, people like that. If there's a spot for Trey Palmer to really come in here and really set it off, I think he's going to make that move. I mean, could you expect to see Trey Palmer leave LSU without ever hitting like 10 touchdowns in a season, let alone 10 overall touchdowns? Think about that. Trey Palmer leaves LSU with, say, 4, 5 overall touchdowns in his Tigers career, and he's now entering his 3rd season, potentially 4. That'd be sad. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Trey Palmer, I don't think he's going to explode this season, like continuously every game he's going to be an All-American. But I think he's going to have a great season. I think Trey Palmer could be that fortified 3rd or 4 dude. Seriously. Pushing clear up to number 2 even. I think, there's going to be a rotating number 2 in a way. I think guys are going to shine at different times. Guys are going to take the mantle at different times. But for all intents and purposes, Trey Palmer, I mean, he's the electric slide, okay? And I'm looking forward to what he's going to do. I think you can mark him down for 1 return touchdown this year. Potentially 2. And I'm going to say 5 receiving touchdowns. So he's going to have a 6 to 7 touchdown haul. And probably around 580, 600 receiving yards for the season. And that's how we're going to predict Trey Palmer and coming into 2021. If he can't make that happen, it would be very tough for Trey to find his way back at the top of the receiving depth chart, especially with the freshman coming in.